What's going on, YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about Batman Urban Legends, issue number 22. And this is the second to last issue of Batman Urban Legends. It's been quite the adventure, but good things must come to an end. And you know what? This is actually a pretty solid issue overall. I know I've kind of been like, well, they probably shouldn't keep Urban Legends around, but at the same time, maybe I think I might miss it when the time comes when it all wraps up, because there are some good anthology stories sprinkled in throughout this thing. In fact, we got 4 different things in here. We have Nightwing and the director, part 1 of 2. That's Jamal Campbell doing the writing and the art. That's why the art looks so good. Jamal Campbell is a really good artist. But even the story itself is pretty entertaining. We have Batman and Anarky in Utility with Yadove Travis as the writer and Lucas Silveira as the art and colors. Arkham Academy, part 2 of 3. Dennis Culver is the writer and Hayden Sherman on art. And then Batman in the Murder Club, part 3 of 4. Joey Esposito is the writer and Vasco Georgiev artist, and then all these other people doing colors and letters. So yes, there's some interesting stuff throughout this issue of Urban Legends. We're almost at the culmination of the Murder Club storyline. We have one more part left of that. Arkham Academy is interesting too. The one shot with Anarky and the Utility has been it's probably the weakest of the 4 stories, but as a little standalone, it's not half bad. And then we had an entertaining first issue of Nightwing and the director, so this could fit right in the Nightwing or the Batgirls run, because the villain this time around is Seer, and then there's another character known as the director who's been kind of following Nightwing, and Seer kind of comes back, and she's been uploading the stuff on a different server, and Barbara's just kind of tired, like, I gotta sort through all this mess and try and figure out what's going on here. But yeah, so Nightwing's doing his thing. He's been monitored and all his stuff's been uploaded. Babs tries to investigate. They kind of do a little looking into it, and of course they find Seer behind it. He goes to the location where he thinks she's at, and she's not really behind it. There's other people kind of caught in the mix of this whole thing, and it does make for a pretty entertaining first issue. And even at one point, there's a character who Nightwing tries to interrogate, but they were terrified of this character known as the director, and he's like, look, I'll keep you safe, just tell me what's going on. And then boom, he passes away, and then that takes a toll on Dick, and he feels guilty about the whole situation. Like, I could have done so much more to save this kid, but he was taken out, unfortunately, by a sniper, and then ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. That next from the director of the horror. I'm like, oh wow, this is actually pretty exciting. Very interesting stuff kind of happening in this first thing, the way the thing kind of ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. And it's dark, it's the artwork looks great, and for a 2-part story, this looks like it'd be pretty fun. And like I said, this could fit right into the Nightwing run or the Batgirls one. In fact, I actually like this little Nightwing story more than the current storyline that we got in Nightwing this week by Tom Taylor. Not to knock that fully, but this one just was a little bit more entertaining. Maybe sometimes writers could just kind of take a break for an arc or two and let somebody else kind of write something in between, just to kind of freshen it up sometimes, unless the writer, of course, is firing on all cylinders. So yeah, but pretty good art, pretty good story so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it all concludes in the end of it. Then the next one is set years ago. It's in the past. The art style here kind of reminds me, I think, a little bit of that Wayne Family Adventures style. Not quite the exact same, but something reminiscent of it. Definitely, it feels like a more simple design. So, I don't actually mind it all that. But basically, Batman's weapons have been kind of recreated by somebody. Not quite as good, but people are out there with different Batman gadgets. He goes to investigate. That's where Anarky comes in, and Anarky, of course, is just like, what, you think only you should have all this, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Anarky is a character who just talks out his or her ass, or whatever the version they're going with in this version's. Someone who talks out their ass pretty much like all the time, spewing all sorts of stuff, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. And eventually he's kind of apprehended at the end of it. There's some entertaining bits in there, but as it stands, I think it's probably the weakest of the 4 stories. Not to knock it or anything like that. I don't think it's bad or anything like that. But like I said, compared to the other 4, nothing all too exciting, but it was kind of neat to just have an Anarky-focused story with Batman in that. So there you go. Then the third storyline is this Arkham Academy thing. So we have all these like kids in there, or apprentices of, or proteges, sidekicks of various Gotham City villains, and you have this one who claims to be one of Catwoman, known as Lil Kitten, who's like a failed hip-hop artist, and is trying to, then when he got arrested by Robin, he's like, yeah, that got me more rep and stuff. And then so Killer Croc at the end of the previous issue was brought in to kind of talk some sense into these kids, and a Lil Kitten talks so much shit that it pretty much backfires by the end of it, and he still continue to run his mouth, and basically the end of the issue, it looks like Killer Croc is going to rip his heart out and stuff. Basically, like I said, this is just all about setting the kids like it's like an episode of Scared Straight, but with Gotham City in that. So he talked too much, and it didn't end well for him. Maybe he'll survive, but I don't think so. So I thought that was interesting. Arkham Academy actually seems like a series I could get into. It's an interesting concept, focusing on the villainous aspect of Gotham City and seeing how that affects different, because you don't really get to see like the kid side of like the villain sidekicks, like villain kid sidekicks, and seeing how society kind of treats them, and this whole concept of them being all trapped in Arkham. And that, I think you can explore some various gray areas with the different characters and show villains in kind of a new light. I don't know. I think the concept of it can work maybe for like a mini series or something. I think there's some interesting potential with it. So it's definitely more entertaining and captivating than anything Teen Titans Academy had. I don't know if it'll be as good as Gotham Academy, but as it stands, I did enjoy this little storyline we got, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it concludes. And then in the final storyline, we're dealing with the time, what's his name? The Time Commander, who Batman found somehow brought Bruce Wayne's parents back to the present, and that's the whole investigating thing. So it is the real Thomas and Martha Wayne, and there's an interesting dilemma going on here where Thomas and Martha are talking to Bruce about the whole situation, like, hey, why did you do this whole thing? Why are you Batman? Of all the things you could be, you're dressing up as a vigilante. This is not what we really wanted for you. And Batman's like, I did this to honor you. And there's a bit of a conflict there, and they kind of get into a little bit of a heated argument. They kind of go upstairs at one point. And before Bruce can really kind of go in a moment of mourning, that Nightwing talks about all the positive things just to kind of remind him of all the good that Batman has accomplished. Like, look, there's just a heat of the moment. They're trying to they haven't really seen the full you and all the good things that you've done as Batman. So I like that aspect of it. I thought that was a good character moment for Dick Grayson. There's some funny bits too about damning him to apologize to Thomas and Martha Wayne, because you know him, he means well, but he uses his various intimidation factors. He actually has some pretty funny moments sprinkled in throughout this, and there's some funny bits there. I was like, Damien at one point is like, all right, well, I better apologize for threatening to stab them, and Bruce is like, you what? And then Dick's like, never change, kid, and he's just got a big old smile on his face. So yeah, when Thomas and Martha kind of go off and do their thing, Damien goes and apologizes to them. He's like, here's the family. This is Titus, this is Alfred the cat, you can meet Batcow later. There's some funny bits in there. Like, this is like a nice balance between smartass and Damien, but also still kind of having that heart with him too. And you get to see that later on. Alfred also goes to showcase the good things that Batman has done. You can see his parents kind of becoming proud. Well, Dick and Bruce are off trying to do their thing and investigate this thing with the Time Commander. There's a funny bit in the art here is actually pretty good too, and like the humor involved too. You just see Damien in the background just casually grab this guy so he can kind of go and intimidate him too. Like I said, I think this has been a pretty fun story, and he tries to intimidate him and get answers before Batman and then come and save him, which was a good moment. And then there's one bit here too, which was kind of like you can have, which I think is a pretty good character moment, especially for Damien. And it's kind of a sad one too. He asked the idea, like, what if we just let my grandparents stay here? Surely Gotham would be better off. Father would be better off. You know, Dick mentions, that's not an option. And anyway, that would probably mean that you disappear. So what? I've died once. I'm not afraid to do so again, especially if it means that he can finally be happy. That to me is a very strong character moment for him. Kind of willing to give up like where he's at just to make his dad happy. So to me, like that was a very fascinating thing. Like I think, like I said, that adds a nice bit of layers. Like, look, I'm willing to give it up just to make someone else happy. I think that's kind of a sad one. That kind of tugs at the heartstrings a bit in that moment. So I like that. I really liked that bit there, and it's the conversation between Dick and Damien, who, as you know, I've mentioned a few times, are my favorite dynamic duo. Why they're not in more stuff is beyond me. At least I'm getting something in here. Damien should be a supporting character in the Nightwing book since his Robin book has ended, which I'm still bummed that ended. But then again, we don't know what's going to happen next with him, with Batman versus Robin, because he's not even in the March solicitation, so maybe he dies or something. Wouldn't that be just something? He comes back, he has this whole Robin book, and then at the end of Batman versus Robin's like, all right, I'm done, and then he can get brushed aside again. I don't know. Well, who knows what DC's going to do next for him. Hopefully it's nothing villainous, which would be really stupid. But anyways, Batman interrogates Time Commander, and then we come to find out the Court of Owls seem to be the ones responsible for all the stuff that's kind of happened with that. So This will be the final story of Urban Legends, and I think it's the most interesting one that we had in this book. And like I said, this is a very solid issue of Urban Legends. It's definitely one of the strongest. There's some compelling moments in here. It moves at a very quick pace to read it. There's some great artwork and character moments sprinkled in throughout each particular story. And I think it's just a really, really good time. And if you haven't read Urban Legends, I think this is a good kind of jumping off, and we're at the very end of this series, and I think this particular story arc, or this particular issue, delivers a very satisfying one. And it's going to be a strange feeling when Urban Legends ends next month, but I think it's time. I don't know if they're doing another anthology book. I'll have to look into it. Maybe they're going to do, I think Brave and the Bold might be that, but it doesn't seem to be hyped up as much. I'll have to look into it to see if that's the case, in which case am I going to have to review another anthology book on the channel? I don't exactly know. Maybe I'll just read that one for the time being, but we'll just have to like kind of wait and see. So but yes, so Batman Urban Legends issue number 22, thumbs up for me. I think it's worth checking out. If you get the chance to give it a read, it was fun. So yeah, lots of good stuff in here. But anyways, if you have any thoughts on the issue, let me know in the comment section down below. Like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. I don't know if I'll be doing any more videos. I think I might do like one or two things maybe this week, because we're pretty much approaching Christmas time, and that's usually just kind of more of a hiatus thing. I might get something pumped out this week, though. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. But in case I don't get anything else out, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. Take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.